Welcome to Cardboard Conjecture. We're a podcast about board games where we have opinions and conclusions formed on the basis of incomplete information. This episode of Cardboard Conjecture is brought to you by these great Saskatoon businesses: Amazing Stories Comics on 8th Street, Dragon's Den Games on 8th Street, and Breakout Escape Rooms on Faithful Avenue. Hey there, I'm your host Norm, and this is the Cardboard Conjecture podcast. And on this episode, it is a top 5 show, and the Council of Cardboard is back. Robb and Anna Marie from the Meeple Dungeon, and Ryan from MISTARAU Gaming. And it's Robb's turn to pick, and he chose top 5 fantasy games that are not Lord of the Rings. And, I was thinking if Gandalf was Canadian, it would be None Shall Pass. Sorry, eh? Cardboard Conjecture is proudly sponsored by Amazing Stories Comics on 8th Street in Saskatoon. They're the winner of the Joe Shuster Award for Best Comic Book Store in Canada, and they were also nominated in 2016 for the U.S. Eisner Spirit of Comics Retailer Award presented at Comic-Con. Amazing Stories' amazing collection of comic books, board games, puzzles, and collectibles can be found in their store or on their new online website. And we're back. This is Cardboard Conjecture. It is time for the top 5 show, and it's Robb's pick. And before we get into that, we got to take some time here, slow down, and introduce the Council of Cardboard. As our regular contributors, we have Meeple Dungeon and MISTARAU Gaming. Ryan, Robb, and Anna Marie, welcome back.
Thank you, Norm.
Thanks, Norm. Here. Thanks for having us again.
Yeah, I should not have a double espresso before we start recording because I jumped into the deep end of the pool without introducing anybody. Oh yeah, you know those guys that cannonball. Robb, this was your list, and it was before we started recording. We were chit-chatting about how much this was a frustrating but fun list. So Indeed. What do we got?
We have got the top 5. We'll call it fantasy games that are not Lord of the Rings.
All right. So was that hard for you, Robb? Was that really hard?
Yes, that's a running joke if people aren't aware around here.
It's very difficult.
Always has a new Lord of the Rings game like every week.
Yeah.
And this version, you get to establish the initiative order. So who gets to go first?
Let's do you, Norm. Go for it.
Okay. Well, this was because we also talked about, crossovers and I'm like, there's obvious ones that are going to be on the list. So when I'm thinking about it going, well, someone's going to talk about it. So I'm going to talk about this one. And I'm just going to say that Gloomhaven and Descent are like probably the most obvious. So I'm going to stay away from those two. And Pathfinder, the card game, same thing, right? I'm going to those are obvious ones. So my number 5 is got me super dialed in because I love the company's use of apps, and it's Destinies. And I'm still on the base game, and this gives me such fun fantasy narrative kind of. At this point, that one is kind of choose your own adventure, but there are some good decision making situations with that game, and I know that most of you guys have played it. So Destinies is my number 5.
Right on. Yeah, we really like Destinies around here. That was a good one.
Yeah, that was a great experience. They are, this the way, and I played it mostly solo, and I bet you Robb and Anne Marie played it mostly like a 2-player competitive. Yep. Sweet.
Cool.
Yeah, that was a good pick. That's a good pick.
Right on.
Yeah.
Who's up next?
Let's go Anna Marie next.
All right.
Okay. So I can leave Gloomhaven in my list, or I can take it out, considering it's probably also going to get spoken about. Or we'll all take it out and nobody will talk about Gloomhaven. I think that's just a given. But So with that being said, I'll take it out. And
didn't want to burst everybody's bubble. They're like, oh, thanks, LePage, and I got to scratch that one off the list.
Well, no, this leaves it for somebody else to have in there.
Ryan.
Yeah, because if he doesn't, he'll talk about the space game.
No.
So what I will do, I will have my number 5 be Wonderland's War.
Cool.
I think that game is fantastic. You got the Queen of Hearts, you got Alice, you got all these fantastical creatures, and it's a ton of fun game. I just think that, I love the way that, if you're Alice, you go backwards around the table, but everybody else goes the one way around the table. It's strategy, and there's a lot in that game, a lot going on.
It's a great game.
I quite enjoy it. So yeah, that would be my number 5 is Wonderland's War.
I've not played that one, and I saw you guys on Twitter talking a ton about it, and Ryan, I think you were in the same situation.
I hear everybody talking about Wonderland's War, and there's like currently, I don't know when this episode is going to drop, but there's the expansion that's out on Kickstarter right now, and the reprint of the base game and everything happening out there. But I hear a lot of people talking about this one. I hear the front load, like the initial, like probably like teaching of the game to like newbies is a little bit cumbersome. But once you get over that hurdle, then everybody's just like, oh yeah, let's just do it again. Let's do it again.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yay. All right. Who's next?
All right. Okay, Ryan, let's see what you got.
All right.
Okay. So I have to preface now. So like we're all in agreement that my list is going to be like the true, like these are the best fantasy games because I'm not beating around the bush. They can have like the best ones.
The non-beating around the bush.
It's just where are they going to fall?
Exactly.
Where are they going to fall in that top 5 ranking? Okay. Not making in the list, so I'm not going to talk about it because that's our thing. The honorable mention here is Thunderstone Quest.
Oh yeah,
I'm talking about it because
I don't know
this
that one.
Sorry, you don't know that one?
No.
Oh gosh, I'll talk.
We'll
talk
look
later.
into it. Yeah,
We'll talk later. But the one that beat that one out because I think it does it better is Clank, a deck building adventure.
All right.
Nice.
Of course, you got to go with Clank. It's like the people going down into the dungeon to try to loot it, but there's this ominous dragon thing like Jink. It's coming at you, and it's got the timers on you, and you got to play your cards right to get the movement, but to get the treasure, and don't get trapped underneath, or else you're going to get crushed, and you score no points if you get trapped underneath the surface and everything like that. And is there going to be the Dine and Dasher guy that kind of goes in, grabs things, and gets out right away? And
Right.
oh my gosh! And then all your cards are so thematic. Like there's teleporting cards, and there's potion. I meant to say potions as well at the same time, but
and
potions and
the tongue-in-cheek thematic interpretation is so funny.
Yeah,
Right.
and if we
I
wanted to
love
go
humor
even
in
more,
games.
because there's so much Clank out there now, like there's expansion upon expansion. Clank Legacy Acquisitions Incorporated is a fantastic take with a story element to the whole system. But Clank deck building adventure, it's got to be a solid number 5 all-time great fantasy themes that are not Lord of the Rings. That is that is a mouthful to say.
But that was a good reestablishment of the top 5 titles, though, going into the Robs.
Yeah.
Well done. Good segue.
Yeah. This was a tough one for me because I kind of leaned into fantasy / medieval type things. So this one, what should I do? What should I go? Should I go with?
He couldn't help himself. Lord of the Rings.
It's your party.
So, first one's
It's your party. It's your party. You can try if you want to.
Let's go this route. Let's go number 5. We're going to go with Ultra. This is a cool one that we played just recently. And it was a cool one. It was a co-op game that was just, it was
Hard.
It was very, very difficult.
It was difficult.
It's a game I bought strictly just because of the cover art, and then was this pleasant, really pleasant, not surprised, but like really, really good. It was a lot better than I anticipated. And it's all just about taking on. I think it was a Witch King or something that you're up against, and you play as these rangers, and you're kind of defending the castle and stuff. And it was a really, really good game. I really liked it a lot.
Cool.
And that's from a Studio H, I believe.
I have not heard. I haven't even heard the title. And as soon as you said it, I saw Ryan go straight to BGG because I think he was in the same
I had to go and
situation.
confirm. I had to go and confirm because you folks, you reviewed this one on your podcast, I believe, not too long ago. Yeah, this is the Antoine Bauza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really with the Vincent Dutrait art, I believe.
Yeah, Dutrait art.
Why don't I know about this? Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And it was a takeoff of an RPG, right?
Yes, it was. That's exactly right. It was built off of a RPG of the same name.
Okay.
Of Ultra. So, it's not one I'd heard of, but it was a lot of fun.
In my head, I'm thinking, put it in the cart.
Right? Oh, it's good. Really good. Great co-op. Really good co-op.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're back to the top now. I can direct us now that I got our initiative order, and it's me. So my number 4, I quickly want to mention a game that would have totally made it at this number, but because I haven't
had it not been Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, had it not. Yeah. It was. I caught wind of this from Chad of Dice and Men when he came on and did a hype train. And this is Dark Souls, the card game. But I can't talk about that one because I've only played it once or twice. But that's a great one. But mine at number 4 is Aeon's End, where it's a cooperative deck building game where you can't shuffle your deck. It's how you put your things in your deck in your discard. When you go to replenish, you just turn your deck over and Bonanza-like take your cards into your hand and then play them out. And you're all wizards that are defending a town against the big bad, right? There's all these minions that come in, and then it's like a video game. You're playing the big bad at the end. And it's my favorite deck build. Like Clank is awesome, but deck building game, this one for me just like rings it for that whole magic user kind of side of that fantasy thing. So yeah, if you've not played it, you got to give it a try if you ever can. We
have Aeon's End Legacy here, but we don't have any others. We haven't played any of them.
Yeah. This pretty much like Legacy is really cool because you just kind of adds way more customization to your characters, which from that fantasy kind of, collaborative and developing your character, you can go create a super wicked, powerful character. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So Aeon's End.
It's a pretty good choice. It doesn't have deck building adventure in the title of the game, but I guess it's a pretty solid choice.
Yeah. We'll get funnier when we talk about our solid number 2 choices.
Yeah.
Solid.
So that was my number 4. We have Anna Marie up next at number 4.
All right. So my number 4 is Ashes Reborn.
Nice.
So this game, I know it's been talked about before too, but just it can be a deck building, or you can just play with the decks that they give you. But just a 2-player, you've got all the different Phoenix Borns.
Yep.
And so there's all these fantastical creatures, and you're trying to just be the master Phoenix Born, beating out the other cities and the other ones. And I love the art. The art in this game is fantastic. It's bright and vibrant, and it kind of pulls you in.
To mention that it's one of the best dueling card games out there.
It's fantastic. It pulls you into the game, and I really enjoy Ashes Reborn, and I like the fantasy element on that one.
I agree. Love it.
Yeah.
Can't say that enough about that one.
Yeah.
That's a pretty solid choice.
I've not played it yet, but I've watched a whole bunch, and the dice interaction is really cool. And because I bought Jeff had a garage sale thing, and I bought the first one, and I noticed last week that my upgrade kit is on its way.
Oh, cool!
Oh, nice.
So
in this one too, you get to start. You pick your own starting hand.
Yeah,
which is neat.
That's the best thing. That's
so cool.
That was the intro that Ryan that you had all the time. The only game where you get there's no mulligan. You just start with what you want.
Yeah.
Did I say that once or twice?
Once or twice, yeah.
Gosh, I love that game.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming up to you, so you could talk about your favorite number 4.
Oh, my number 4, best fantasy game all time that is not Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Has to be a game that I acquired from Norm a while ago. And this is The Legends of Andor, designed by Michael Menzel and art by Micah Menzel. And Legends of Andor is a cooperative adventure style game where it is very much like a tower defense almost. There's that tower defense element to it, but also you have to be exploring the regions and going on and solving these different quests. Every adventure, or what they refer to as everything, is called a legend. And every legend is kind of like a puzzle that you really, really have to solve, because there are things that you should be doing before you tackle other things, as well as you're exploring this land, going on these quests, solving certain things in certain orders. And it is absolutely crazy fantastic. And the system itself is very, very simple, that we can actually have a family game on this. There's actually a family version of Legends of Andor, but but there's nothing in this base box that like a family could not actually, as long as you have like somebody that's fairly well versed in the game.
Yeah, if you have a guide.
Yeah, I got a guy. I got a guy for that.
We have not played that one.
No.
And there are a lot of expansion legends out there. Like you can buy expansion boxes, like they're big box expansions that add more legends. There's tons of actually fan-made legends that are out on BGG that you can work your way through, as long as you have the base content or even some expansion content or something like that. But
yeah,
Legends of Andor is a really, really neat, and there's lots of things, like there's dragons coming and attacking the castles and stuff like that. And hordes of orcs and goblins and trolls that are storming the land side, and you're trying to put out the fires everywhere type thing. So
Cool.
Yeah,
you're making me regret getting rid of it. I'm going back in the cart, putting that one back in the cart. Cool. Yeah, that's such a fun game. That event card system is just so much fun. Yeah. Robbie.
Yes, number 4. What should we do here? Picking the orders is so difficult. I think we're gonna go down this route here. We're gonna go to one of my favorite games to come out from 2019, and that's A War of Whispers, which is like basically the real Game of Thrones game without being Game of Thrones. Just like how Nemesis is like the real Aliens game, War of Whispers is really the meat and potatoes of Game of Thrones in a board game, because this one is just like, it's all Game of Thrones. You're just living it out. You're all a different house, and you're all trying to backstab each other and usurp each other. And
true story.
And it's so good. And it's just like, yeah, it's Game of Thrones in a box. Honestly, it's better than the actual Game of Thrones game, and it's just fantastic. I love it. Love it.
Oh, I'm so glad you picked that game. I have it right behind me, and it's that whole political side of the fantasy world so building. Good. Yeah,
I like that one too. I talk about this a lot, but I love the different types of art in games, and this one's very dark. Like it's got the muted colors, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like
so
the
good.
Deep red, the like deep mustard almost, like it's got with like shade of gray attached. It's like
everything's in the shadow kind of.
Yeah.
There's the muted tones. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh,
yeah, it's really good. It's
just adds.
I haven't
to the,
played it in a while,
but
it's.
I got to show this game to you, Ryan. This is such a good game.
You haven't played it, Ryan?
I hear everybody talk about it. I have yet to play this one.
Oh, it's a good one.
I've heard lots of people talk about it.
Gamers
I think
Garage.
by lots of people, I mean, I hear Norm talk about it a lot.
It's so good.
Maybe.
War Whispers. Fantastic game.
Right on. It's coming back to me now. We're at the number tree.
Number tree.
My third pick overall is Complete shock and surprise to me that when I was making up this list, it put it on the list, and then all of a sudden, you know how you go to rank it and go, okay, honestly, which one have I had more fun with? And man, Tiny Epic Dungeons is such a blast to play. It is time. I mean, if you've ever had any Tiny Epic game experience, it's a dungeon diver in that whole genre and system. And it can be brutally difficult, or it can be, you know, let's set this video game to easy, right? But there's enough lateral depth to it that like experienced gamers would have fun trying to either cooperatively or competitively be really good at this game. So yeah. Great on the Tiny Epic series of games, because this is, I mean, I should have we should do a top 5 of our Tiny Epic games. And yeah, so if you've never tried it, and it's got cool minis. Yeah.
We only have one Tiny Epic game. That's it.
Ooh,
Galaxy's probably right.
Which one?
Nope.
Oh,
Zombies.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So
before we go off on a tangent, Tiny Epic Dungeons is
Nice.
Very cool.
my third pick.
Also known as Iconography, the game.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's a really running joke. Once you can get past that, oh my gosh, there's like an icon for this. And
Oh yeah, you gotta
an
have the
icon
book.
for that.
Once you start playing, you have that book ready, and then you're like, okay, I got the language down. Very much like a Pfister game, right?
Right.
So
Any good heavy Euro.
yeah, exactly. So there you go. There's some just cause, because it's visually difficult. Anna Marie, your third pick.
Okay, my third pick. So I've got this game leans more into the fantastical in the sense that like not sci-fi, but like myth, that kind of way. Okay. That's where it's going with the fantasy. And this one is Atlantis Rising.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so like, you know, you're trying to make it through a portal to another part of the world before, you know, Atlantis gets covered in water. This is a fantastic co-op game, and I believe it plays up to 8. And the way they lay out the board, it's in like a star shape almost, like, and the water is like you're physically turning the pieces over to represent water, and so you're racing against the clock, and you're trying to work together to try to stop the flooding, right? And it's so intense. It's so intense. I know, like, whenever we play it, there are at least a couple people that are like, this game, it stresses me out. Like, it's too much. And I'm like, yes, but it is just a game, and it's real fun. So keep going. But I love it. I think I've always loved the story of Atlantis and that whole, you know, that idea. So, my number 3 is Atlantis Rising.
Oh, I agree with you on every one of those. This is so cool because, like you said, it's a kind of a 5 peninsula island, and each one of those peninsula represents a Euro resource. The further down, the bigger risk of, am I going to go for like right close to the water but risk flooding, but big reward to play it safe, right? And that's where the panic comes in. Like, I mean, I'm laughing because when you're talking about stressing you out, there's like mental smoke breaks that you have to take. You just stand away from the board and you're like, okay, well, what's going on here? Whoa. Let's just stop and have a coffee and have a look.
It's so good.
Ryan, this is another one that
that's another one.
Jen,
I don't know much about.
Oh, really?
It's fantastic. And I believe
so good.
We have a, shock and awe. I have a playmat, but we have the big playmat that sits underneath. So you've got the water and all this. And so it's really gorgeous. It's awesome.
It's one of the best looking games ever made.
The way you said that made me laugh, because that was like my French aunties and uncles when they would go, I was so shocked and surprised. That's an awesome pick. just for the simple fact that I'm stressed out thinking about it right now.
This episode of Cardboard Conjecture is proudly sponsored by Dragon's Den Games, located in the Louis VIII Mall on 8th Street in Saskatoon. Swing by Dragon's Den Games and let Darren, Al, and the awesome staff help you out in search for great board games, role-playing games, miniature systems, and all of the related accessories. Be a part of their gaming communities that have scheduled events in their great gaming area. Dragon's Den Games, Louis VIII Mall on 8th Street in Saskatoon.
Ryan, your third pick.
Okay, we're in the top tree.
Top tree.
We're in the top tree of the third period.
And the third star.
Okay, so now what order are the big games going to appear?
There we go.
What order is the big ones going to come here? So it's sitting at number 3 is Descent.
Yeah.
Right.
So
on.
Descent.
I knew that was
And
coming
this
out.
one, it's got to be Legends of the Dark, the newest iteration.
Yeah.
Not to take away from Journeys in the Dark, the second edition.
Yeah.
That game is fantastic in its own, and I'm glad that they went the route of having the app take care of the Overlord stuff and making it a pure co-op experience. But Descent Legends of the Dark was designed ground up as the full co-op experience with the full app integration, going on these huge, epic adventures. Like when you talk about like a scenario taking like 2.5 to 3 hours to complete for one single scenario, it's epic. And the whole build up, like you're just walking through, then you're just encountering some bad guys. Like
the
literally,
literal
you're just
build
walk-
up.
Right.
Yeah,
And then there's like
literally
the
build it.
physical components of this game too that just add to the awe factor. And the fact that you're just like, you're harvesting things out of some of the things, you're harvesting items. And then after the scenario is done, you can take those items to the town and you can start crafting and selling things. And it's like got that whole RPG experience of just like, hey, now, and then there's a card for that. Like I crafted this thing.
Told me it does all that.
Oh yeah. The thing that was always our joke was that after we would finish a scenario, we could actually go then
Shopping.
We can go sit in the living room with the iPad and do the shopping business and type thing.
That's exactly right.
And yeah. And the characters are well written. You can get back into the lore there's some novels now that explore some of the characters and their backstories.
Oh, cool.
Or there's just so much to like about this. I really need to get back to it. I'm not finished the adventure because they've announced that the second act of the whole story is going to be coming soon. So they're warning everybody, get your act 1s finished because act 2 is picking up right where it's leaving off on act 1.
This whole explanation of your number 3 for me felt like a motivational speaker.
Me, I was feeling stressed. I was like, oh my gosh.
And we're going to go live in a van down by the river.
I'm walking away right now. I'm going to the store and picking this game up. This is crazy talk. Why don't I have it?
And these are the best miniatures that Fantasy Flight has ever produced. In their quality
excellent.
And their scale, and he's
Out
walking.
goes Norm.
Oh, he's out the door.
He's
now.
on his way to Amazing Stories right now.
I gotta get this. I'm breaking in the window.
And then the art on the box. Let's just, like the Diablo-esque art
it.
on the box.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this is just how excited I am for number 3.
This is just number
on my
3?
list.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
I could crack a number 2 joke right now, but we'll get there.
We'll get there.
Ryan.
Sorry, Rob. You have to follow that.
That's okay.
Okay,
That's
Rob.
okay.
That's
do.
a big shoes to fill at number 3.
It is, and I have just the game to fill such big shoes. And it comes from Awaken Realms.
Oh, good one.
Lords of Hellas.
Nice.
This game, oh my goodness. It was one of our first big Kickstarters we ever backed, and it's still to this day one of my favorite games. And we painted all the miniatures. It was like one of our first cracks at painting, and
I'm very proud
turned
of
out
those.
Really
I think
good.
they look really good.
And the game itself was just so good with all the different ways you can win the game, and the huge board and the massive minis. And it was just awesome. It was just everything about it is just wicked. Love Lords of Hellas, and yeah,
Every time it makes me want to like go the monsters route.
yeah,
Just
you can hunt
to get the
monsters to win. You can play the mummies that are this tall to win. You can do all the cool stuff. It was a
Yeah.
great game, and yeah, I'm excited for Lords of Ragnarok.
Yeah,
but,
me too.
Yeah, Lords of Hellas, excellent.
Now,
Number 3,
is this a Mind Clash or no? Who does this?
Awaken
game?
Realms.
Awaken Realms.
Yeah.
Yeah, their minis are fantastic.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. They are, and it's so good. The game is great.
I don't know how I'm going to follow that up.
If there's a company that is giving Fantasy Flight Games a run for the money of how much money I'm giving a company, it's Awaken Realms.
100%.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think they've overtaken it for us. Like, I think we're gonna have every Awaken Realm game here. Like, that's gonna happen.
I just realized a game I should have on my list, but I'll do that at the end.
Yeah, you can punch that up. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, my number 2 isn't going to be the same number as after. Yeah, I'm just going to not even crack a joke now. I'm like,
Squeeze it out, Norm. Squeeze it out.
The second pick overall, which isn't really solid number 2 compared to what you guys had at your number 3. But it has to be talked about because when I was guilty here, when I was thinking up of the list and I was going through it, and I went, oh yeah, that's got to be on my. I got rid of it, so I went and I ordered it.
Wow.
Yeah, and that is Sword and Sorcery.
Oh yes.
Which is I brought it up just because I want to talk about it's Ares Games. Mm-hmm. It's one of these I don't know if it's like a European, but it's kind of like off the radar kind of fantasy games that like on BGG it's 8.0 mm-hmm. and it's like a 4 out of 5 weight. So Jeff and I played like a whole campaign, and it came out. I think this was not a flaw, but a bad coincidence. It came out the same year as Gloomhaven.
Right.
So it had that to compete with, and it had that as a comparative, but they're so different. I think Sword and Sorcery is very much like kind of what a Pathfinder D&D cards in your hand would be compared to what Gloomhaven. But reflecting on this list, I kept going, I had so much fun with that game. Why did I get rid of it? And I think it was that fact was I have this one and Gloomhaven, and if I'm going to get to Gloomhaven, I've got to play at least one campaign of this one and have it move on and then bring that one in.
Yeah.
And so now this is probably, again, on my list of games I'm kicking myself about getting rid of. That'll be my new top 5 list.
Yeah.
Right?
Which won't work for you guys because you don't get rid of games. So.
We don't get rid of them.
You know, yeah.
It's a real problem.
I don't know if, Ryan, have you played Sword and Sorcery?
I have not, and this is right up my alley style game. Every time I walk by, I'm like, I should get it. But
I know.
But then I just end up like, oh wait, I just backed at so-and-so Kickstarter. So yeah, no.
See?
Which happens a lot lately, like for some odd reason. I don't know why.
It's a backseater game. It takes a backseat to a lot of games.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because we haven't played it either, and
No.
we don't have it. And I don't think I've even seen it around here.
I saw some. Was it an expansion that came out recently, Norm?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw that
And
expansion.
that's the thing.
I
They're
was like,
still supporting it. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like,
Jason from Dice and Dragons, he's big up on the Sword and Sorcery. He was really, really excited because Sword and Sorcery was going to be one of those games that, remember when we talked about the Taburu game system?
Yeah.
Sword and Sorcery was going to be one of their launch games, but then
So
they
did that game
did
Taburu get pulled?
Yeah, Sword and Sorcery for the Taburu it got pulled, so I have no idea if it's still in development or not. But that's the style of game that Taburu was meant to make, and then I think they just fumbled. They fumbled it at the goal line. And they got returned the other way for a pick 6 or something like that.
Riders. Anna Marie. I'm not even going to be disrespectful. Your second pick.
Okay, so Yeah, I'm sad that I missed that other game. So I really am going to say it at the end of my list later. But my number 2 I've got is still a fantastic game. I love it. Is Nidavellir.
Okay.
It's so
game
good.
is so good. Like, it's a lighter game than all of these heavy ones that you guys have been talking about recently, but that doesn't take away from how awesome it is.
I agree.
It is so good. You're a dwarf and you're going through to all the different pubs and taverns and you're trying to amass
So good.
it's very thematic, right? You're going through to your trying to amass this large company of the best skilled dwarves in a whole bunch of different areas, because you're going to try to fight this dragon dragon that's coming to like basically taking over the land. And so you just want to have the best company, I guess, beating your opponent's company so that you kind of get the glory and all that. And it's so good. So you're bidding, you're going to the pub, you're blind bidding on these on the different,
right. You're trying to persuade them to join your
come with me. And
the set collecting parts.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
That game was legitimately one of the biggest surprises for me last year, I think. Was that last year? Nidavellir?
I don't remember.
Either way, that game I thought looked kind of whatever, but then like, wow, was it awesome. Some cool mechanics and just great theme. And it was quick and easy and fun. Loved it.
Yeah, Ryan, you showed me this game on BGA.
Yep.
And then I started watching a lot of it, and the dwarves. I mean, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, it was my plays on BGA that made me actually go and actually buy the actual physical copy, because it was it's an excellently designed game. It's got fantastic production.
And wasn't it awesome getting in person, Ryan, and getting the little like stadium of the coins, the bleachers,
the pain in the ass bleachers to assemble.
But once you got it assembled, you're good to go.
Yep.
I'm when you're talking about it, I made a little note of a joke that cracked me up that I think at least 3 people on this talk will laugh about. Is the game reminded, because you're going to the pubs and you're trying to gather people, right? And to me, I'm like, it's just like in Saskatchewan on a Friday, and you're like, road trip. Who wants to go on a road trip? We're going to Banff. We're going to breakfast in Banff. Road trip. Who wants to come? Oh, I'll come. Yeah.
We're going up through the quad and into the gymnasium.
Awesome.
So the Nidavellir, I keep mispronouncing that one. Nidavellir or Nidavellir? Nidavellir. Ryan.
Okay.
What's your deuce?
Dropping the big deuce right now. Getting it out of the way. My number 2 greatest fantasy themed game that is not Lord of the Rings of all time is Gloomhaven. Number 2. Number 2 is Gloomhaven. So what's number 1? But everything. Gloomhaven.
Not Lord of the Rings.
Cephalofair Games. Isaac Childress designed a massive hit here. Scratched every, to the tune of I don't know how many millions of dollars that this thing pumped in, but tapped that RPG experience in a gigantic coffin box experience.
Yep.
The only knock I have against the game is that you actually have to go and buy a organizer to get everything somewhat thing. But luckily, there's enough fan service out there that everything can run through different apps and bookkeeping things and stuff like that. But the story was actually, I played through full Gloomhaven, and the story is actually really, really good. And the things that you have to do, drinking the potions to get that extra stamina just so that you can fight off that one last skeleton that just doesn't seem to go away.
Doesn't want to die.
Or getting swamped by legions of oozes.
I was just gonna say ooze, and we thought of the same one, Ryan.
But because that scenario with the oozes was so freaking
That's so
annoying.
hard.
Yeah.
They keep coming.
The most frustrating thing for me is there's no way I can get to the that space in the amount of time. I can't. I got to be running all the time.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
And that whole card mechanic where you keep losing a card almost
Yeah.
like every time that you go through, you're like, oh my gosh, the timer is
lollygagging.
on, and no lollygagging. And the only thing that I wish that it had was a fail forward system rather than you have to keep doing the scenario. Sometimes it was like, yeah, okay, I passed.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I was very close.
I'm not going to do
Third
this
time
5
around.
times.
Third time around, yeah, we did it.
The
We
pity
totally
party.
did
Pretty
it.
sure.
What are you talking about? Of course I did that. And
What
I
did we need
unlocked
to
this
hit
thing
him
at
for
the
6?
same time.
We hit him for 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, look at that. We did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they managed to do it without dice, but still the cards hate me when you flip them over and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And
Crazy
just like
moments in that
and the
game.
fact that Gloomhaven, then there's Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, which was a nice, great, is the product that should have came out before big ass Gloomhaven came out. But I like the fact that Gloomhaven that your characters will eventually gain enough glory and everything that they actually end up retiring.
Retired.
Yep. Love
We're
it.
too old for this. We're too old for this stuff. Let's
And
get
off
out
to the pub they go.
Yeah.
For
and now you
Nidavellir.
get a new
Right.
Yep, to Nidavellir. And you get a new character, and they get their own bonuses, and they got their own special. Oh, your hidden goal. Ooh, what's your hidden thing in the background that you're trying to achieve that other people? Oh, so good. Frosthaven's going to completely annihilate this one out of the water when it comes out. So, Gloomhaven's number 2 for now. In a future time, if we have to do this list again, it'll be Frosthaven.
Before we get on to Robb's number 2, I'd like to point out the fact that we've had no crossover yet.
No.
Well, it's because you guys all altered your list at the last moment.
I did take Gloomhaven off my list.
I took Gloomhaven off my list.
Yeah. So there would have been one crossover.
I never had it
Gloomhaven
on
is
my
a
list.
tremendous game.
Oh yeah, no, that's no argument. I knew Ryan
folks
was
are-
going to have it.
You folks are crazy for not having Gloomhavens on your top fantasy
So
list.
how about we just say Gloomhaven and Descent are automatic crossovers?
Yes. There we go. Yes.
Robb.
Okay, number 2. This one was, I would think, my number 1 for a long time, but it's been usurped.
Ooh.
And this one was my favorite game for a period of time.
Oh.
I know what
But
I was
it's
gonna say.
still my number 2, and that's Blood Rage.
So good.
Of-
Good. Good pick.
Of Eric Lang fame, and just the original of his trilogy of big mini games, and just the Viking lore, the area control, and the minis, and the card play, and the drafting, and this game is just it's so good. It's so good, but there is one game better. But yes.
And it's on my list.
Maybe I'd be shocked, but yes, it's a wicked game. Blood Rage. It was a toss up for me on these last 2 here.
Ooh.
But Blood Rage is one of my favorite games.
Fantastic.
But it's been cemented in podcast lore that Blood Rage is the number 2.
Yes, it is the number 2. There's one game better.
Ooh. Hi. If you like the content we're creating and the podcast episodes we're producing, please leave a happy rating on the podcast platform that you use. This would be such a great gift and would also help others find our podcast when they search for board game podcasts. And if you have the time, check out our new YouTube channel where we have new content every few days. Just search Cardboard Conjecture on YouTube. Thanks, Abe. Ooh. Okay, well, let's get down to this number 1s. And I don't think it's going to be a surprise to Ryan, but probably one of the designers I respect in regards to having such a range of design, like quality design games from like the family type games all the way to the uber abstract, make your brain crack games. And it's Vlaada Chvátil's Mage Knight.
Oh, nice. I've never played that.
No.
And it is,
Heard a lot about it.
it's deck builder joy with that dark RPG kind of narrative. I have all the expansions. It's basically like immersive collaborative storytelling as you're building your deck and you're trying to do certain things and go, there's just so much. And I've said this before, the only drawback to this game is that it has an incredible cognitive load in regards to I just simply go, I'm going to go to I think it's Richie Royal or something like that, where he has that Mage Knight tutorial, and I watch it and go, okay, I got it back in my head now, and I put the rule book beside me, and then I can play. But it's one of those games where you got to get all the details and all the minutia sorted, and then go, all right, let's have a smooth play. Once you get there, I'll usually leave it on the table for like a week and just play it straight for a week, and then put it away. Awesome. So yeah, Mage Knight.
Nice.
I've heard so many good things about that, and I've never been able to get my hands on a copy. It's a shame because I really want to play it.
Yeah, I haven't played it either.
I've heard
I had it for a bit, never cracked the seal, and then sold it.
I thought you had the ultimate. You bought the ultimate box when it came out, didn't you?
Yeah, and then I was like, man, what did I get myself into? I'm going to pass this on at a profit.
Yeah. Cardboard economy sometimes, right?
Right.
I
say yes, but I've never done it. So
I have a copy, and I'm able to lend it out if anybody ever needs it. So just because it's number one in my book and in my heart. There you go, Anna Marie, number one. But you got to talk about the game that didn't make the list.
Do you want me to do that after everybody's done theirs? Just in case it ends up on...
Put it out now. Give it now.
What if it ends up on somebody's list? I don't want to steal...
Yeah, do it
so
after.
that's what I'll wait till after. That's what I'm kind of thinking. So my number one, I believe this one came out in 2003. So it's been around for quite a while. And it's one of the themes that I have loved since I was a kid. And... but it has a twist, and I love it. And I think this was one of the first of its kind. And that is Shadows over Camelot.
Oh, yes.
I love the whole King Arthur, that whole theme. I love it. And this game is, you've got, the Knights of the Round Table. They're trying to get the white swords, to try to, clean up, take out all the bad guys, clean everything up in the realm. But then you've potentially got a traitor in your midst in the Round Table, and they're trying to put all these black swords out, but they're being stealthy because they don't want to be getting known too early. It's
one of the original
hidden traitor games, right?
And Days of Wonder quality too.
Oh yeah, it's so good. And so I Shadows over Camelot. That's my number one.
Great game. I haven't played that in ages.
Yeah.
Ryan, I know you got
many
stories.
I got many stories about Shadows. All the way from Norm pretending he doesn't know what he's doing.
So how do you play this game? How does this thing work again?
Like, if there was a traitor, like, how would we know if there was a traitor? And then I would explain, he'd be like, well, that's exactly what a traitor would say to us. And he convinced all the students at the table that I was the traitor.
Oh no!
And from Ian, I played this game with Ian, and he had convinced everybody at the table that I can't read. Oh, so many great stories about that game. I've introduced lots of people to like the gaming hobby through Shadows over Camelot because of that. It's got a great theme. It's got a great system behind it. Oh, Yeah, great pick.
Awesome. Well, speaking of, Ryan.
Number one, probably, I don't know, out there, it's like the greatest card game of all time that's out there. It's pretty big out there. I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about Ashes Reborn is my number one.
Oh, right on.
Ooh, Ashes Reborn crossover. Nope, it's got the best theme, that high fantasy, the fantastical theme of summoning, just being these summoners, it's summoning creatures and casting these spells against each other in this epic duel to see who's going to become this phoenix born that is going to eventually like unite the kingdoms all together. And you are representing your town or your country or your faction or whoever you're representing. Just this big old massive tournament. It is so good.
Yeah.
The magic dice system, like you're never right from round one, you can do something.
Yes,
like
I love that.
You're not mana locked or anything.
Yes.
The start with your best, like what you think is your best starting position, get those cards into your hand right off the bat.
And then playing that same deck over, saying those were not my 5 best cards.
That was not the 5 best. I should have go back to the drawing board.
I thinking?
Or they were the 5 best, just not against his 5 best.
That
or what I've seen with Ryan and Rob playing, that you got the best cards, but the dice don't make it work.
And that's the great thing
good.
too, is that there is a side action you can take to flip your dice. As long as you discard, you have to discard some cards. You have to either discard cards that are in play, discard cards from your hand, discard cards from the top of your deck, but you can flip dice to what you want them to be.
Yeah.
So you're never locked out.
I think that's what I appreciated, was that consumable risk, because you're never stuck. You just have to, what am I going to take a chance on? It's like,
just got to give up something right now. I got to give up the now.
I think the most painful one is like off the top of the deck, and you're like, I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Yes. And the customizable aspect of this game, like everybody talks about, Magic the Gathering, blah, blah, blah. The big one that's out there. Literally, you can incorporate any card you want into your deck. You just have to also have the matching type of dice. Yep. You don't have to play with just one style of dice. You can have like 5 different styles of dice if you get crazy or something like that. But cool. So it's so good. It's the greatest card game to ever have existed. More people need to play this game.
Yeah,
go out
I agree.
Your FLGS right now. If they have Ashes Reborn sitting on the shelf, buy it. You're going to do yourself a favor. Pick up as many expansion packs as you can find. Yeah. Dollar bills all day long.
Yeah. At this point, it's kind of like the Marvel Champions. It's like whenever a new one, it's like, pre-order.
Yeah, we have it on automatic pre-order.
When the new ones come in. They're so good.
Now is that just a predictor for what possibly could be Rob's number one? Because let's transition now. Rob?
It is not.
I didn't think
so.
Okay.
No.
Although I do love that game. But this game is a game that doesn't get a lot of talk. However, I do see it played a lot at conventions and such. And this one is one of the best gaming experiences I've ever had in a game. Every time I play it, mind you. And this one is from 2016. And it's been re-released just lately over the last year or two with new art. But I love the original art.
Oh.
This game is Inish.
Yeah.
And this one is from Madigo. And oh my goodness, this game is one of the best, my favorite games of all times, probably my top 2 or 3. And it's just so good. Have either of you played Inish? Oh, I see Norm's reaching for it. There he is.
He's got the original art.
Yes, he does. He's got the good art for sure.
He's got the good art.
It's just the most tremendous game. You have a deck of cards, particularly at 2 players. This game is absolutely amazing. It's some of the best experiences I've ever had playing any game ever. and you have a deck of cards, and that deck of cards represents your actions for the round, and that deck gets drafted out between you and your opponent, and there's always one card out of these, I think there's 11 of them or whatever it is, that gets discarded, and neither of you know what card that is. And there's some cards that are really, really, really powerful, and like that you can cancel each other's moves on how you're going to move your way through the turn and through the round. And it's just this crazy chess match with like 3 or 4 different ways you can win. And you're constantly just trying in damage control, trying to make sure that your opponent can't win is more important than you winning.
Should be called damage control.
Yeah. So it's like this, it's just this unbelievable thing where you have the cards in your hand and you're just sitting there just like not knowing what you should do right now, because it's like, if I play this card and he's got that one, then my whole round is done. Right. And then you're just looking at the card that's face down on the table over there that neither of you are aware of what that one is. And you're just praying that card isn't in his hand. And it's just, this whole thing is just amazing. Inish is one of the best games ever made.
The best description I have for this game is if anybody has had like brothers or older brothers, it's like that fight when you were young with your brother where one's going punch to the head and the other guy's going punch to the gut. And you're just like, bang, bang every time. Oh yeah, it's just like, but the moment it gets out of sync, when you're like, if I don't have the right card, I'm gonna just get my head taken off, right? Or I'm just gonna walk through this without any kind of resistance, and it's tension.
Oh, the game is amazing. Yeah, the tension's incredible. Where you end up drafting cards just so your opponent can't have it, because you know that they're about to do whatever. Like they're one round away from finishing the game in X way. Oh my gosh. If you don't take this card, they're going to have it in their hand and they're going to make it happen. So you have to take that rather than the card you'd really want to have. And it's just trying to do this whole chess, this chess. I mean, it's a chess match is what it is, but it's so good.
I'm going to say something that's going to make Ryan put it in his cart. It's that card drafting is very Blood Rage like.
Oh yes. Yeah. It's
where it's just like, which one did he? Oh, did they take this? Oh, if they took that one, then I got it. Oh, I can't. Oh, but then if they didn't, and I'm just mind gaming me, then yeah. Yeah,
and you just that card face down. But in that 2-player game, that face down card, like that, just throws you for a loop the whole way. Because just one of the actions, because all 10 or 11 or 12 cards are completely different. And those are the only actions that are going to happen at any given time. And you just know that there's that 2 or 3 of those cards that are just devastating. And you're assuming your opponent has it, but it might be that one that's over there. Yeah. Like it's just, it's so good. One of the best games ever.
The sound that I hate the most is when the card draft happens and one of the people at the table goes,
right? Like, no.
Or you just sit there and go, oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah. And then everybody at the table's like, okay, I guess we're all ganging up on that guy.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so good.
That's a fantastic way to round out this list. Ryan, have you ever played Inish?
I have not played Inish.
It's in that
other one.
It's in that series of
Cyclades and Kemet
and Inish. It's like that's that trilogy that I've heard people describe in that kind of war game-ish kind of thing. Yeah.
This artwork.
Yeah. We're gonna have like a what you've been playing Wednesday con just so that we can all play these games that we've talked about.
Absolutely.
Ryan,
Fantastic.
You're looking at it, aren't you? You just it's in the cart.
No, I'm actually taking my turn in a game of Blood Rage right now.
Excellent.
Funny.
Should I say the ones?
Yeah, I was going to say I want to hear that game that didn't make it.
Well, as everybody was talking, I was like, I didn't even think about Fantasy Realms.
Yeah, I had that on my list.
That was a good one that could have been on. Right? Fantasy is literally in the name. Mm-hmm. But the one that I think it's behind some of the games that are sitting up. So when I was looking, I didn't think about it. But that's Dwellings of Eldervale.
Mm-hmm.
I've never played it.
Oh, it's good. And that one would have been close to my list.
You play Dwellings, eh?
Because it's
now
fantastic.
that you mention it, that probably should have been in my top 5. Yeah, Dwellings is tremendous.
I was thinking that might have been your number one. That's why I didn't want to say it, but yeah, it is for sure.
No, I forgot all about it. That would be in my top 5. That would actually be in my top 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, we're definitely having a What You've Been Playing con just so we can get these games played.
Oh, it's so great.
Right on. You know what? I think that was so Anna Marie, you did the Wheel of Fortune list. Rob, you did the fantasy list. Ryan, I'm just going to give you dibs on the next top 5 list coming up.
Right on, science fiction.
Because
Rob did the fantasy. I'm going to say top science fiction that's not Star Wars.
All right, I like it. All right, I'm in.
That's awesome. Because I had written down an idea I had, and then as I'm writing it down and we were discussing, I'm like, this can't count because it was top 5 games that you want back. And that's like, you guys don't get rid of games, so you'll be like, we got nothing for this list.
I'd be more than happy to sit there and listen. But
you guys are idiots.
Top games that should leave the collection, but you just can't pull yourselves to actually getting rid of.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Should
top
get
5
rid
games
of.
on the doorstep.
You get top 5 on the doorstep. Yeah. Sounds good.
So, okay, I like that. Top 5 science fiction games that aren't Star Wars.
I like it.
There you go.
So basically, I have to ignore half my collection then.
Yeah, I know, right? I can
I've
see
already got my
there.
top 5 actually already created.
Oh man,
Ryan.
Because I knew that's what was going to be my pick after Robin mentioned his pick. I knew exactly. I said, "Hey, science fiction, not Star Wars." Got it.
Balance this out, right? Before we head out, let's give yourselves a plug. Meeple Dungeon.
Yeah, thanks, Norm. I'm Rob and
Anna Marie.
And we are the Meeple Dungeon out here in Kelowna, BC. You can find us on Twitter at Meeple Dungeon, YouTube, the
You're
Meeple
learning.
Dungeon. And our own podcast, the Meeple Dungeon podcast, on all your major podcasting sites.
Cool.
Hey, everybody.
Ryan.
And I am Ryan from MISTARAU Gaming. And you can catch me live every Tuesday and Thursday evening on YouTube, in the YouTube land, whatever you want to call it nowadays. And I'm always playing something, either solo or with friends. Rob and Anna Marie have been on the show. Norm's been on the show. Lots of different people have been on the show already.
Had a blast playing Memoir. That was awesome.
That was great. Yeah. And we played Unmatched with the Meeple Dungeon. Right. And I've got lots of other things already scheduled. This week, I'm going to be doing the Star Wars Clone Wars pandemic system game. So
cool.
Just realized I'm going to have some issues with that one because the board is actually really, really big. But you can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at MISTARAU Gaming.
Cool. Well, let's say thank you to everybody who's now looking on their phones or on their computers at their favorite clicking load the card up board game store. But no, go to your local friendly game store and get the addiction taken care of. Thank you everybody for joining me once again for a bad case of FOMO. Oh man.
Yeah. Thank you, Norm.
Yeah.
Thank you once again. Thank you.
Cool. Hey, that was awesome. Thank you once again to Rob and Anna Marie from the Meeple Dungeon and Ryan from MISTARAU Gaming. Another successful episode of the Top 5 show, and I believe it is Ryan's turn coming up next. So stick around, stand by. I just want to mash them together. Well, that's a good cue for me to make my way out of here. And that being said, I'm your host Norm, and I'll catch you later. This has been an episode of Cardboard Conjecture, and you can find more about the podcast on Twitter at BCboardgamers, and you can find the podcast on YouTube by searching Cardboard Conjecture, and on Board Game Geek Guild number 4045. If you wish to contact the podcast, you can email norm@cardboardconjecture.com. Thanks, eh?